Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon.
And Tommy is
CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con.
This year's show is September 7th and 8th.
Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kelber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to. I gotta pull up screen on my face. I can't see anything. Welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday, this July 14th, 2024. I am your host. I am Roland Mann. Okay, that's gone away now. And it looks like we might not be on Twitter streaming right now. So kind of what I was trying to figure out. I had
X.
Yeah.
Did you say something bad about Elon?
I didn't.
You're talking about the Cybertruck again?
I saw one of those the other day. That was the first time I'd seen one. Those
there's
are really
three in
ugly.
my neighborhood.
Wow,
Man.
Yeah.
I see Teslas all over the road, but I haven't seen any of the trucks
I
yet.
saw a truck.
You're not missing much, Roland.
No.
So
A garbage truck riding down the road.
So, while I try to figure this out, I am joined, as usual, by the absolute con artist, Mr. Thomas Flormonti.
Howdy do.
And, of course, the convention man, Mr. Tom Mason.
Hey, everybody.
And, hey, Pops. Hey, Pops is here. Hey, Pops, what about Twitter? Are we having problems streaming to Twitter? Just asking, because it looks like I'm getting error messages here. And, of course, last but not least, Mr. Mike W. Belcher, that man in the mess guy.
Howdy.
What's going on, Mr. Belcher?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm hanging in there. It's been one of those weeks, but as someone said before we started, next week is another week. So I'm looking forward to waking up in the morning and starting a new week. All right. So before I jump to what I've got, where to do with it, Tommy, you got a little report. Tommy did a signing yesterday.
Yeah, I was at 3 Alarm Comics.
Tell us about that.
It's 3 Alarm Comics. It's in ran by Scott Huberman. It's in Biloxi, Mississippi, but it's the Auberville. Actually, it's the little town that it's part of. and Stephen Butler, Lily Butler, Mitch Bird, Brian LeBlanc, or as I call him, Brian LeBlanc, because it's French, his last name. And
I'm sure he appreciates that.
no, he thinks it's funny every time I go, Brian LeBlanc. And he said, that's not how you say it. And I'm like, well, say my last name. And he goes, I know how to say Floramonte. And I'm like, okay, right. Maybe I should say your name right. And no, it was a good show. We had a torrential, it was from 11 till 5 yesterday, and about 1 o'clock, it just dropped. It was raining so bad, but I still did about $250 worth of selling artwork and some commissions and stuff. So, and then we all just sat around and talked and goofed off, but it was good to see all my buddies. So
nice.
Cool. That's the reason why we did it. They wouldn't have done the show if I wasn't in town. I'm in Mississippi, by the way, instead of Orlando.
So do you find? Here's my question, and it's again none of my business, but I'm going to ask
you. Shut up.
Do you find it? You have a different conversation with your friends when you're at a show like that than you do if you just go out to dinner?
No, it's the same BS that I always talk.
Hanging out with your buddies, no matter where.
Oh yeah. Same old. I mean, we talk about people all the time, but it's still the same. No, it's the same. It was.
Do you talk about who's not there?
Yeah, like some of the other people in the area. No, what's funny is the people would come in the shop or whatever, and we were kind of in this really weird circle thing because the shop's not huge, right? And there was 5 of us set up.
Right.
And we all had 8-foot tables in this little shop. So it was kind of funny. But, we'd be talking and then, I'd say something stupid and then Steven would say, well, Thomas just said something, blah, blah, blah. Or they call me Tommy, of course. And they go, Tommy said something. Then I would just totally ignore the person that was at my table. We would just start talking to Steven and Mitch. Mitch is always grunting over there. And was like, and then,
So apparently we can no longer stream live on Twitter because we don't have a premium account. Apparently that just changed like last night.
Oh
no! So I am posting the link on Twitter that people can go to YouTube.
All right.
Stream here live anymore. So find us here.
But no, to answer you, Tom. No, we talk. It's like I never moved to Florida or whatever. It's just we're all just talking the same old
sort of picking up where you left off.
Oh, exactly. It never changed. And and now that we're all online and stuff, I talk to Roland hears from Steven all the time.
All the time. I must have gotten like 10 messages from him just today.
Well, that's the thing. In the pre-internet days when somebody moved away, it's like you really had to work to keep in touch.
Yes.
And it was,
absolutely.
It was effort. And now you hear from people, you move away and you hear from people 10, 15, 20 times a day.
All the time. Yeah. It's almost as, I still live down the street from everybody. So, and then from you guys, we got Mike living in the mountains and then you living in Candania and stuff. And
I had a friend who asked me, it must be great to see your friends and catch up. It's like, we never stopped catching up.
Right. It's not like we forgot each other. We're just still hanging out with the same group of people. The people that we don't
did yesterday. I know what everybody did this morning.
The people that we don't hang out with are the people that we didn't hang out before. So it didn't change all that much.
Matthew says we talking about conventions. Yes, Matthew, we're headed that way. We kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I hadn't talked about what I wanted to talk about.
I have to shut up first. No, we'll take the show back.
No, but it was fun. It was very, very much fun. And then after the store,
Tommy did a signing yesterday, Matthew.
Yeah. Then after the store closed, Scott and Steven and Steven's wife and Lily and them, they were playing games. They had a gaming thing that they kept going to midnight
at the store.
Yeah, but after they ran the shopping people off, not that there was anybody after 1 o'clock because of the rain anyway. We stood around for another, sat in the same spots that we were sitting the whole day and another 3 hours and just shoot the shit.
Man, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll talk. That's part. I'm sure that'll come up when we're talking about conventions tonight. Let me share this. Before we get there, want to remind everyone that we have a campaign going on, and if you want to know how to find it, just navigate over. Oh, you can't see it yet. Navigate over to findmycomic.com, and look, you don't even have to go very far to find us. We are the top featured pick. So look for Divinity, and you'll see that nice Kevin West cover come up there. And then you can go over there. You can see we have 24 days to go. We're a little over halfway at this point.
Yippee!
But then here's a nifty video of the foil that I'm about to show you here in just a minute.
Man, those are some sexy hands in that.
I was going to say that hand model's on point.
I'm
That's
telling
right. I
you.
would say so. What kind, do you moisturize?
I don't know, but I think if he does a really cool thumbs up at the end, that would be really cool. Oh, he did it right there.
He did. There you go.
Whoever does that does a big thumbs up at the end every time.
So you can get that foil cover there. That's our cover A. Of course, then there's Jose Fuentes did pencils for cover B.
That Barb inked, I believe, right?
That Barb inked, yep. And she colored it. I was trying to figure out, can I get this bigger? There we go. Oh, you can't see that though.
Yeah, but it's bigger.
There we go. And then of course the cover C done by co-host
By
of
Martin
the Wednesday
from the
Wham,
Wednesday
Martin
show.
Bertonen,
Yeah.
who and Barb also inked and colored that one as well. So these are your choices. This one, these don't photograph very well, so we have to kind of put up a file there that says this is what it's gonna look like. We will, for those of you who are paying attention, we will add text to those covers, but we haven't come up with anything, or Barb hasn't come up with anything really just clever yet. So we are still working on that. So so pop on over there to here's some of the interior art. It is gorgeous looking. This is done by the Kennedy brothers as pencilers. Of course, then Barb inked and colored it as per. And there's lots of original artwork, including I think this is a piece that Tommy inked.
Yep, with Dean.
Yep, over Dean. And I think that was a cover for number
3, I believe.
Three.
2 or
Okay,
3.
3. Yep. And of course the I think this Kevin West piece is already gone though.
It is.
Yeah.
It was.
And then there's a bunch of the pencils, which are nice looking. And then there's some of the inks. I think these are from issue 1. So yeah. So you can get it digitally. Yeah, there you go. There's that cover for Kevin West. It's already gone. But you can still see there's a bunch of there's one by Rick Hoberg, who you Ultraverse fans probably remember from The Strangers.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, there's still a bunch of original art that you can choose from for you original art fans. So get on over there. Yeah, you've still got 24 days, but why wait? Don't wait. Just go get it now. That way you help us get there.
Yeah, and don't leave us doing this, for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But go ahead and get on
it.
it.
Quite good. It's quite good.
The other thing about not waiting is that you help us get to some stretch goals. So I wanted to show you guys this. You just can't scan this. You can't photograph this. This thing just looks
not well.
so
Yeah, it's
good.
got to be a video to see that.
Look at that. I mean, these are just gorgeous.
You know what the cool part about that, Roland? The
What's
insides. Look at the inside. We got the whole book of the insides in there. No, it's not. It's just
it's
a bunch
not.
of random pages that I threw in there.
I was like, wait, is that?
That brings up a valid point, though, is you might want to mention that the entire book is done.
The entire book is done. It sure is. We got to go through a round of edits on the lettering, but that's that's pretty quick. But yeah, look at this. David Ace Gutierrez. Thank you, David, for hanging out with us. Says that looks great. Yeah, I agree with you. And we're, of course, thankful for the folks over at Kablam Printing for this. They do
Make sure you do the thumbs up.
Super.
There you go.
they do a super job of this. And so I should also say, if you want this cover, the only way you can get this cover is by backing this campaign. It's not going to be available later. That's not to say we won't ever do anything special with the cover, but this cover is only going to be available through this campaign. So what that means is however many backers we have, let's say we get 50 people who want this cover, this means we're going to print about 60 copies because we print some for the creators, right? But that means that's all. That's it. We're not going to print 100 of them. And there's 40, sitting left over. We're going to print, basically print to order. So however many people select this, plus some for the creators, that's all there's going to be. So these will become super exclusive.
And those Kablam guys, I don't know if you can see it on there. Plus, you probably saw it on the Kickstarter that you're shipping out now. They stepped it up on the metallic material that they're using. Have you noticed how much better this looks?
Oh my gosh, these look so
good.
The
other metallics were really good, but now those guys, whoever those guys are, I don't know who they are. But they were able to without raising the cost of the books, even though it cost us more to get the material, the silverness is it's a better material now than it was before. Less roller marks than we were getting before.
Speaking of this one, I have this in my hand now. Okay, where we go. Yeah, I have this beautiful thing in my hand now.
And that's is that the real one?
This is the real one. This is.
Oh, it's actually got the book on the inside.
Oh, it actually has the book and the interiors here. It's the real deal. It is the thing. This is. I got these in my hand last week. So hopefully these will start going out probably Wednesday. They're not going out tomorrow. Maybe Tuesday. So here's the foil cover for this one. And then, of course, then we have this cover that was done by Dean, Zachary, and Tommy, and Roberta, of course. And then we actually also have this cover, our Tommy cover, which is Champion. That's actually not Champion, and he tells you that.
That's Champion right there. It looks like Champion.
Yeah. So, of course, it was funny. We used to always say, well, Champion's on this cover. He's just right here.
There's his hand.
So
he's on there somewhere.
So these are going out this week for those of you who backed this campaign. Thank you very much.
With all the bookmarks and everything.
Yeah, with the bookmark. Oh, I need to bring the bookmarks over here. So yeah. So that's your update for that. Get me off of here.
That foil cover for the team up book is probably my favorite Silverline cover ever.
It's hot.
And not just because of the foil. I love the artwork. The artwork is really spectacular. The coloring makes it pop. It's everything I want in a comic book cover.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is just it's hot. Yeah. And of course this one is by Pete and Tommy and Roberta.
Yeah.
So
Pete did a great job.
I'm
just doing my part, but Pete and Roberta.
I would tell you the interiors of this book. It's just they're just out of this park as well. I'm excited to get this one into folks' hands. So Pete's not with us tonight. Hopefully he's busy drawing. Number 3.
No, he's asleep. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure he's asleep. He's got a young child, so I'm pretty sure he catches to sleep when he can.
Yeah. He says that he's hoping to get more drawing done this summer. So
we can start on 3. Get 3.
Start on 3. In fact, he actually said if I wanted to go ahead and get number 4 to him, which I have not finished, I could go ahead and get number 4 to him, and he would try to get as much of number 4 done this summer as well, while he's working on them. So,
to hear that. Let's call him up and ask him.
Yeah. Call him right now, man.
Yeah, call him.
All right, but we're here to talk about conventions tonight. And so the title of it is "What Makes a Good Con." So what I'd like to do, I want to approach this from two aspects, right? First, because we talked a little bit about working at a convention, but let's talk about what makes a good convention from an attendee's point of view, right? And then we'll talk about what makes a good convention from maybe a creator point of view. So first, our first approach is going to be as an attendee. What do you, from your perspective, what makes a good convention? Anybody want to go first?
Organization.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, the layout is everything. How can you get around? Because if you can't get around, and you're bumping into people, or you can't stand at a table to be able to talk to somebody or look at anything that's on the table because people are, like I said, I've been to some cons that just really, they try to pile as much in there as possible.
Yeah.
Their layout is just kind of all over the place, and it's not comfortable. You just really can't get in there and what you put your good money into, which was to look for comics or talk to certain people or have conversations, and then you got you're starting to feel claustrophobic. It's a matter of that. The organization is a big thing for me. If the tables are hard to get to, and you can't see anything. A lot of people are obscured by other things. Like the 30 feet print walls. Those are the kind of things.
Talking about those 30 feet print walls. Some conventions have regulations against those.
The height of the booth.
The height.
Yeah.
They actually have regulation. Your booth can be such and such high unless you're against the wall, and then it's kind of like you can do whatever you want against the wall.
Right.
You think that's a good idea?
Against the wall, yeah.
No, I mean, you think the regulations are a good idea? What do you think?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I don't like those great big tall, because I do, as a taller person, I have always enjoyed the idea that I can kind of look and see, oh, I need to go over there, or I need to go over there.
Yeah.
But if all I see is the big walls of prints, I don't know. I'm in a corn maze,
Well, yeah, I don't like to feel. I like the feeling that I'm boxed in.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's enough walking room. Yeah.
At the San Diego Comic-Con, they have a T-shirt booth. It's basically a box.
Oh,
it's about 2.5 stories high, but it's in a fairly good location for it.
Because those dudes have to have the poles to dig to go up there and dig the stuff out from the roof to get the shirts down.
It's in a good spot though.
But they're also not like there's not like 6 of them in a row so that you can't see past it. They're like a little island, right?
Yeah, they own that space.
Yeah.
And so there's they are the T-shirt, but I think there's one other T-shirt place that's sort of back in the back corner where the Funko Pop people used to be, but it's not.
And they're on the wall. It
doesn't obscure the view.
Right. Yeah. So this may get us into some dangerous territory, but we're going to go there anyway because a lot of people already know how
let's go.
Many of us feel. Those big walls of prints. As an attendee, do you like those big walls of prints from artists who've never done a comic book?
Until I started Kablam, where we have to do things legally and print things. I didn't worry about it. I didn't worry about it all that much, but now because of knowing, a little more about copyright laws,
it's illegal
and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff's illegal. They don't have and then you'll get the people that'll say, well, if they're a pro working in the business and all that kind of stuff. Say Marvel still didn't give them permission to print that stuff. Disney didn't do it. Some people they do. Some people they absolutely do. But for those guys that can't draw a lick, that got 50 prints that are running up to the ceiling, and it's like, good gracious, and you can tell where they stole the drawings from.
Exactly.
Well, I want to meet the comic book artist, right? And that's my problem with it. Is like these guys aren't comic book artists. They're just
salespeople at that point.
They're just a local guy, right? And again, that doesn't mean they're. I'm not trying to suggest these artists aren't talented or
no.
I'm not suggesting
the fact
any
that
of that, right?
They're doing stuff, but come on, draw some comic books.
Make a book.
At least put a couple of comics out there amongst all of the stolen drawings.
Have some original stuff. Don't steal everything that you're doing.
Yeah,
right?
And I'm even going beyond saying stealing, characters that they don't own. When you could tell that they just got a Playboy out and they just drew the thing from Playboy, or they're aping somebody else's drawing and just changing it from Batman to what I'm saying, where it's the same draw, where this was drawn by somebody else, and then they just redrew it.
Or some funky filter that changes it to some abstract looking thing, and the original art.
I have an even hotter take.
Uh-oh.
I don't even care about those people. Like they don't either. Because I'm not going to stop and talk to them.
No,
I'm not going to buy anything from them, and I'm certainly not the police, so I'm not going to be giving them a copyright ticket or whatever to
Well, what if
rent
you
out.
were sitting next to a guy? Like you were at the show, you were there promoting your own books, and you're sitting next to a guy.
I would hate that.
Half. That's the second half.
Oh, that's the second half of the show. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's us,
all right.
that's us being there. Right now, we're
So
just
you're talking about us
attendees.
just we're just
being
a
as
guest.
yeah.
I'm not a guest. We're the
you're an
con person
attendee
walking around.
If I'm an attendee, like I'm with
I'm
Mike
ignoring those people. Yeah.
I'm like with Mike too. I want to be able to walk around. I want to be able to, and like with Roland said, I want to be able to look sort of ahead to see where I'm going to go, because conventions can sometimes be big, and you want to be able to say, I don't want to forget to go over there.
Right.
Yeah. And mostly I want to see people that I already know.
Yep.
I want to have a conversation with them as if we didn't just email 3 days ago. and, and then
what will you be wearing?
That's right. And then I want to find out. I want to, if I can get out of a convention with like maybe 4 or 6 new things, like a comic I never heard of before that looks interesting, or a piece of art that I wanted to buy that I didn't know I wanted until I saw it.
Yeah.
Or a trade paperback that just came out where it's like, ooh, I meant to, I meant to pick up the 4 issues of the miniseries and I just never got a chance. Now I want the thing. If I can come away with like 6 of those things, and then if I've gone to lunch or dinner with a bunch of people I like, I've had a great con.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Mike said earlier, when the organization of the thing, I don't mind going to a show where there's people that have the Etsy shops type of stuff, but I just like all those people grouped together. It's like Roland and I have talked about it, and Barry just hates Etsy shops set up in comics. You're sitting there selling your stuff, and somebody next to you is selling these stickers that they did, or a little plushie kind of
images that they pulled off a line.
All right, I get that. Just separate everybody out a little bit, because some people go to the shows just to buy those things, and that's fine. I don't care about that. That's fine. But let's just separate all that stuff out. Put all the put the Etsy shop folks over there, put all the plushie people over there, put all of the pirate poster people over there. Just separate it. Don't let's not I guess maybe the organization people are staggering them next, so that way you'll keep more people flowing around. But I don't want to sit next to somebody that's selling sculpty dragons.
No,
it's like, well, they're not doing comic books; they're selling little sculpty things. They're beautiful, and I bought some. I love those things.
What do you have against dragons? Are you like a dragon biggit?
Yeah, no, I know. I love dragons. I just want them to be somewhere else.
Hey, for 6 years, I laid out a con that didn't do that. So
hello.
Yeah.
Hey, we're joined late by Roberta. Hey, Roberta, how are you?
Yeah. Hi. Annoyed. Technical difficulties.
Oh no! Don't be annoyed.
I don't know why. I wish I understood why. I raced home out of the store. I got home. I opened my Mac up, and it just spun on Chrome. It wouldn't open. To save its life, it hated Chrome. It just bounced and then just died right there.
You need to get a Windows machine.
I do not. So I'm on my laptop, but I can't color on my laptop because I have an XP pen stowed away. That would take a while to set up.
All right. So no coloring for you tonight.
No coloring for me tonight, but I can say hello.
All right. Well, yeah, absolutely. So Roberta, we're just talking right now about what makes a good con, being an attendee.
Being an attendee.
An attendee. What do you like?
Attendee, not set up there, but being an attendee at the show. What do you think?
I can speak to that.
Yeah. All right. What do you think?
Well, I kind of want to complain about a couple things. The crowds move you past things that you want to see sometimes.
you're in a river. You can't jump
there.
You got to jump out. Jump out of the crowd. Jump out of the stream. You're on a conveyor belt.
I've had it happen where I've gotten shoved past something and I forgot to come back to it.
And you try to swim back upstream.
I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to fight all the people with their posters and the stuff to go upstream. So sometimes you are unlucky in terms of like your setup. If you're not in an end spot and you're riding an aisle and the aisle's fast moving, I can imagine it's difficult.
Yeah. And,
I don't
that's
mind
actually
being in
something-
the way if I'm talking to one of the people, but
as long as
I
you don't
do
have one of those
mind.
great big cosplay things that blocks the whole aisle, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, I do love me some cosplay people and stuff, but they should not
get
be
out of the
allowed
way.
to stop where
Yes.
there's
Stop
people
turning around with
doing
your
stuff.
wings, man.
Yeah.
Oh
Well, stopping every 6 feet to take a picture.
yeah,
Well,
There,
that's
there,
other
there needs to
people.
be a photo area, right? They go over there and take your photos.
Yeah, on the very ends or whatever, tossed
Yeah.
to the side. They should not be. They should know better than just stop right in the middle of the way. You know,
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
I'm guessing that's the crowd that makes them do it. You know, that they're on
I
their
would
way
assume
to
so.
look through the con. They can't do it because someone
Yeah.
says, "Hey, I want a photo."
Right.
But,
I
you know,
will
the
say
flip-
that San Diego and WonderCon have gotten a lot better at getting out the sort of the cosplayers with the bigger stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They put them in the main lobby areas.
Oh, that's
It's-
nice.
it's-
So
and they
they're not
say
necessarily
stay
walking the
there.
floor. And out at WonderCon, they have an entire area with these stairs. Like it looks like the front of the Hall of Justice.
Yeah.
I've seen those
and
pictures.
people
Pose
can get out
out
there
there
and,
and let
and
them
do their
take
stuff.
pictures
And
and
so it's
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've taken pictures with people on those stairs. They're good stairs.
yeah, it's a great
Yeah,
it's a great
I mean,
setup. So that-
I love me some. I love watching. I love going to the cons that do the costume contests and stuff. I'll go to them. I love
Mhm.
seeing people
Yeah,
in
I
costumes.
like the
mean,
costume
it
contest.
reminds me
There's
of
some amazing ingenuity.
Halloween stuff. It's great. I love
Yeah.
it, but not
But-
standing in the darn way. Move.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah. And
stop.
that, for me, I don't like a con as an attendee. I don't like a con that's too crowded because I can't get anywhere. You know, it's like I
Yeah.
don't want to. I'm just trying to go over there, and I got to fight through all. It takes me. It's like LA traffic, right? I'm only going
Mhm.
3 miles, but it takes me an hour to get there, right?
Well, can I give you a flip side to that? Maybe
Okay.
there is a lot of pluses to a lot of traffic for you guys, and that is that if there's somebody, it's a crowd dynamic thing. If somebody gets interested in someone's booth, other people look at it. So you get 2 or 3 people that wouldn't have stopped, but they stopped because someone else stopped, and they just took another second to look.
Are you saying? Am I hearing you saying looky loos? This is what this is.
It's looky-loos. Yeah, people are like, why are these people looking at that? Okay, that's cool, actually.
I need
yeah,
to stop
let
and
me
look
check.
at it too.
Yeah,
that could be
it's
something that we
happening.
talk about on the other
So-
half of the show.
So
Do
maybe
an
that's-
accident out there in front of your booth, so that way people will stop. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah,
But
Well,
sometimes that's the
I
only way I
think
find
even
out new
better,
throw
things.
some
you-
bananas out there in front.
You
so
have your
people trip.
friends with their cosplay, and they battle it out in front of your table.
No. I mean, we hadn't got to that second part. I remember, I forget, it was the Tampa show where there was like 15 Deadpools that decided to do a dance concert or contest in front of the thing, and it went on for like 40 minutes. And I finally had to stand up and say, "Could you please just move?
Yeah.
I love you guys. You look great. I'd get out there and dance with you too, but nobody can get to me. Move out of the way." There was like
Yeah.
20 of them.
Yeah.
They were dancing and stuff. It was cool as hell. But get out of the way.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
that's where
yeah.
the
I'm just
two
saying, like 2.
that's where the two different purposes have come into play. Where they're there for their presentation or whatever, and you're
Sure,
there to sell.
exactly. I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I appreciate it
Mhm.
too. But go somewhere else. Get out of my yard.
Everyone's there for themselves. Give it a
Yeah. So
Take your ball. Move.
what about media stars, right? So and I'll go first while you guys think about it. I'm not really there to go see William Shatner or
And we're still talking about attendees, right?
we're
Being an
attendees.
attendee.
Attendees. I paid a ticket, right? I'm not really there. I want to see the comic book people. Okay. I want to
Well,
go
they are
see
comic book
Walter.
people.
I wanna
I
go
will tell
see-
you, I waited in line to see comic book people. They're stars too, and they have a
Who-
signing, lines
who's-
and all that.
Who? Like we can talk
Well,
comic
I can
people?
think of one of the big ones that I stood in line for a long time with Grom.
McFarlane or
Roberta, my line wasn't that long. I don't know why you stood in line to see me.
I should have stood in your line.
You should have.
I mean, Image had these outrageous lines when they
Sure.
launched,
Yeah.
But and I've stood in line to see. I stood in line about 20 deep to see Howard Chaykin the very first time I ever
See?
when Shadow 1 came out. Walter Simonson. But my point is, I am as a comic convention, I'm not there to see William Shatner. Who I like William Shatner. I like Star Trek. Don't get me
Do
wrong.
you want a signature on your little Star Trek doll that you just bought?
Well, but it's not my comic book.
Did
I'm just
what
wondering.
mean? Are you gonna stand in line to see? I mean, being a working pro, are you? You know, I want. We've talked about it before. I want to know the person, and if I don't get to know the person, I'm not standing in line to get something signed for a comic book person. And I don't. You know, I think we're all kind of a little jaded because we've been going to shows for 30, 40, 50 years, however long it's been.
David, I see your question. We'll get to it. I promise.
But do
it's
you,
important.
you know, I'm not paying for a signature.
No.
For a celebrity. Now, comic book people, you know, I may want to get a book signed or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there's a huge line.
But also, if I listen, if I'm getting Tom Mason to sign my comic, I want him to sign it to me.
Yeah.
I want him to sign it.
We actually talked about that a little
usually
yesterday at the store signing thing.
I don't want him
two
to
different things. Freebies for if you just put, you know, or, hey, Roland, love you, man. Thank you for grabbing my book, Thomas Formonte. Or if I'm just signing Thomas Formonte because you're going to turn around and slab it and then make, you know, $300-400 off it.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying $300-400 for a book that I signed, but I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm with
One
you.
day.
Hey, dreams don't make us go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm kind of with you on that. Is that, you know, I don't. I think I heard that they said Neil Adams was charging like what $60 for an autograph.
Oh, some of those folks are.
Yeah, and it's like, look,
and then we all
I really
saw that
like
list of the Jim Lee stuff.
And I really like Neil Adams. And I got along with him at shows when I saw him. You know, we cut up and had some fun. But $60 for an autograph? Yeah, you know, I don't want your name on my comic book tag. I got the comic book. I don't want you to sign it that bad.
Maybe it's a discouragement for people to sell their books.
Tom, you got to,
you know, dinging those people because that's what they're doing it for, right? They're going to pay $60. It's not so that they love it at home.
Pops is like, I got an opinion.
What is it,
Mr. What I'm
Pops?
thinking right here, right now. You see, I want to go right to what Roberta was saying. Okay, I went to Hall of Heroes Comic-Con.
By the way, welcome, Pops. For those of you who are listening to the audio, you're like, who's this Pops guy? Pops is he's the owner, the chief of the Comics Madness Network, which we are.
He almost gets it right. Almost.
I know. I never can get it right. Yeah.
Founder of the Madness.
Yeah.
It's the Madness Comic Network.
So, okay.
I go to a lot of go to shows, both working and as an attendee, obviously. Okay, because I'm a fan. That's how I got involved in this. Okay, so Hall of Heroes Comic-Con a couple years ago, the lady and gentleman that owned Buy Me Toys paid Jim Shooter to sign all weekend. All weekend. He was signing for free.
Yeah.
Now I go there and I see this is happening and I get my picture with him and I get some cool stuff signed, but I'm going vendor to vendor. Where's your Jim Shooter stuff? Why don't you have a pile of stuff here so people can buy it and go get it signed over there for free?
Yeah.
Right.
People don't think. Okay, now this was a great opportunity for vendors to sell the hell out of books. Anything with Jim Shooter's name on it. And not a single vendor in the place other than the people from Buy Me Toys had stuff readily available for you to buy and go get signed.
Okay? I guess good for them.
So the vendors have to think, okay, who's appearing? Okay, I need a setup of stuff here available for those people to buy, those fans, attendees, to go over there and easily get signed. You know, I don't want to have to run around and go through every box on every table trying to find the book I want to go get signed. That guy should know these people
your
are
comic
here
app,
signing.
right? Which one did he do?
Yeah, I mean, you should know as a vendor, okay, these people are here signing. I should have these books readily available for the fans that walk by my
Good
table.
advice, because it'd fly off your table.
Yeah, we've got a guy down here. Tommy knows him. A guy by the name of, and he's been on our show before. A guy by the name of Tom Ropp. who runs Daytona Beach Comic Con. When he does shows, that's what he
Yeah.
does. Because he runs Daytona Beach Comic Con, but he also does. I think he's at a show this weekend somewhere. But he does all these shows, and that's what when he knows that there's a guest there, he just gets here's my box of comics that was done by that guest. Here you go. Sometimes he gets them signed for himself. A lot of times he's just selling them for the attendees there.
And for the guys like you, for people like you that set up your tables, you small press and artist alley and stuff. Look, I come down the row in the morning and I'm looking for people to interview.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking to set up my schedule for the afternoon. In the afternoon, I do my interviews. I walk by your table and you're like this on your phone.
Yeah.
You probably ain't getting interviewed.
Right. Yeah, we've
Okay.
talked about that a bunch as
You
well.
need to interact with the people. You got to interact with the people walking by your table.
You're in the show.
That's
Now,
right.
if you're one of them people that draws during the con, have somebody else there at your table interacting with the people and turn this way so they can see what you're drawing.
Yeah.
It's not a
you
game
never
for
sit
introverts.
there with your easel or with your board tilted towards you. You can leave it flat. Something.
And I really like what Tommy did the last time he and I did a signing together. Tommy, he had his iPad, but he also
I went and spent the money on that monitor. Yeah.
Bought a monitor. So he set a
A
monitor up
little
on
monitor.
the front of it. So he was drawing. So he could be comfortable, but people could see what he was drawing from the front. It was very cool. I'm like, man, that's really cool.
I mean, we've even done our show from a con where we set up the computer, we set up the, and people walking by, we interacted with them. They were live on the air with us. It was awesome. We had guests and we had fans and everything. But the main thing is interaction.
Yeah.
Okay. Your table. Does your table make people go?
Well,
And
so again,
take a second
you're
look.
jumping ahead of us a little bit. We're still talking about attendees, right?
Well, I mean, as an attendee,
Yeah.
what makes me turn my head?
Yeah. Well,
You
and
see what I'm
for me
saying?
as an attendee, this is exactly what you said about the head down is that if I'm walking around, because I'm kind of like Tom, I want to buy, I want to discuss, I'm going to look at the dollar boxes, right? I'm going to look at those anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of want to find some new independent comic that I've never heard of that I'm like, what is this? I need to take it home with me, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for. And part of this is part of the reason I'm not a big fan of all those poster pirates because they don't bring anything. I don't think they add any value to the show.
Right.
They just have these nice, and let's be honest, guys.
They're prints.
95% of the people who buy their prints are going to stick them in a drawer when they get home.
Yep.
They're not going to put them on the wall
Well,
because
that's
are you
funny, too,
going to go to the put on the wall the drawing that little Johnny Brown did at the show, or are you going to put Walt Simonson's cover up there, right?
That was another funny thing because there was a time when I had prints all over my walls.
Yeah.
But then the more I bought art, the more the prints came off the walls and the art went up. And pretty soon I don't have no prints on my wall anymore.
Yeah.
So, you kind of outgrow the value of those early in your collecting career.
I don't mind buying a print from someone like, say, Mike, right? Because assuming we're talking, Man in the Mask.
Exactly,
Like,
because you
Mike,
can't get
Mike,
a Man in the Mask from anybody else.
Mike,
That's the reason I do it.
Mike, you know that I love you, but I'm not buying a Superman print from Mike.
What?
I'd rather buy an original piece of art from Mike.
I want Man in the Mask. That's
And I'll
what
let
Mike
you.
did. And I want Man in the Mask from Mike. And so this is, for me, this is, the problem I have with all those print pirates or poster pirates or print jockeys or whatever you want to call them, is that they don't bring anything to the table and just prints, right? Show me a book. Give me a book. Show me a book that you've done.
And then make a bunch of prints off that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But I still wouldn't buy the prints off the book. I want the book.
Yeah, I want the book.
Now,
Well, here's the deal. If you got a book, but you got a Superman or a Star Wars print, whatever, it's like, hey, okay, I don't care. I see, but you've got a book that you're pushing the book, but you're trying to sell the Star Wars print because people love Star Wars.
Right.
All right, that makes more sense, unless your whole wall is Star Wars, right?
But don't you think the difference is that we're book people and not print people?
Well, I was just gonna say, anybody wants to make prints
Because
of
I know there are people who go to the cons who are print people who aren't looking for books and don't want anything. They just do want to print. And we're just book people. We're print bigots.
Well, see, this is what I was gonna say. Anybody,
There
who,
are
a
people
lot of people.
that are just like that.
Well, there are
And I
people
think-
that go to these cons that they're, they walk in and they're, quote unquote normies, and they want to come back with something they bought at the con. And the
Yeah.
prints are the most accessible thing that they know. It's like, oh, I know Superman, and I kind
Yeah.
of like that. And so those are the ones that's what they're there to purchase for, because they want to show,
Yeah.
hey, this is what I got at the con today.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And have we moved on from the topic of
Yeah,
celebrities
all right,
yet?
so let's move on from being an attendee to being, because David's got some pretty good questions for us to address.
All right.
Let's move on. So now what makes a good con from being on the other side of the table? Jump in, Tom.
Oh, I still like to talk about celebrities.
Oh, go ahead.
Because I think the celebrities at the cons, I think most people, and even when Neil Adams is charging, $1 million for a signature, or Jim Lee is charging for $1 million, I think people pay that at shows because they want that 30-second to 1 minute interaction with their favorite person.
Yeah.
And so it's less
And
about
not
the
just-
cost of the signature, but you're really paying for is I'm going to pay $60 for Nathan Fillion's signature on my photo,
Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
because I really want 2 minutes of Nathan Fillion's time.
Well,
There's
and
also
so
that big
do you
regret
think there's
factor. The ones
there's
you
what?
missed out on, the big regret factor. You look back on the ones you missed out on, and then you see somebody that's getting up there in age and like, oh shit, I ain't missing out now.
Yeah, see, I don't have any
I'm gonna
regret,
get mine now.
I also think some of it is a bit of a brag factor, right? You go
That too,
to
yeah.
go to work the next weekend. Hey man, I met Nathan Fillion.
Right. We had a conversation. I asked him about X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and he said yes. Move along.
Yeah.
He said, "You're blocking
And
my
I gave him
signal."
$60, and he said, "Yeah, nice to meet you." And then,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, you guys are talking your side of the table now. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here.
All
But
right.
mainly,
Good to see you, Pops.
it just has to all work together.
Yes.
I mean, the con organizers, like I said, you got to know who your guests are. You got to let the vendors know, have these books ready. Let's make some big sales.
Yep.
Everybody needs to work together to promote and everything to make it happen, man.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
and big eye candy. Look, when people are walking by, you want them to double take at your table.
Yeah.
Have either a lot of stuff or something up high that's eye catching, but you got to get them people's attention that are walking by.
I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna start setting up some fireworks at my table.
If you could, man, pyro's good.
Pyro.
We're in Florida.
No
You
pyro
probably get
by
away
the
with it,
comics.
Tommy.
No,
Americans
no
love
pyro
fire.
by the comics.
Bye.
Bye,
Good to see you,
Pop.
Pops. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into David's question here. He says, because this is a good one. He was talking about, and Tommy, I'll let you jump in on this one first. He says, does proximity to an unrelated booth hurt sales? You were talking about, being next to the print pirate next to
Yeah. Well, no. Okay. Being next to print, I always hate sitting next to somebody. You're walking, you got your book, and and you're selling some original comic, or maybe you're working on there's been times where I've was working for some mainstream stuff or some ultraverse stuff or whatever. And then you got a guy that's never drawn Spider-Man in his life. All of a sudden, you just got selling $25 prints of Spider-Man, and the guy's he can't even draw Spider-Man, but he's selling them, 400 or 500 of them.
And then he
I'm
turns
like,
around and tells you, "Oh, this is the first time I've ever set up at a show before."
I know, and I'm like,
Mama paid for my table.
I could do that, and I have more, I can say I have the right to do it, but I have more of a legit right than you do, and you've never even worked in the industry before. And you spent your $300 on your table, and then you're selling these prints of something that you don't, and your stuff's poopy.
See, I would just want him to have a comic book. Make
Yes,
a comic,
do a comic, and I'll even give you a little more, credit.
Yeah.
That's
To what you're
human.
doing.
That's human. I don't know how many times I've, you sit there and you're watching people walk by, stop at your table, and they've got that pile of prints, and they pay $10 to $15 per those prints.
Yeah, I
and
know.
you sitting here with your little $5 comic. It's like,
and they won't.
okay,
Yeah, they won't even look
I've
at
actually
that.
got something to offer. And
Or
it's like,
you're sitting
you just
next
get
to
looks like $50.
What?
Or you're sitting next to a guy that's doing raffles all day where he's got one of those little spinny things to get discounts on grab bag stuff. It's like, God, you get out of here. Go someplace else.
Hey, listen, I sat next to a pillow seller one time. One of the worst locations I've ever been in. Right, literally, it's me, and right next to this person selling pillows, just pillows they made. Right, they took images off the internet, and then I don't know. I think they might have like ironed them, like a press-on iron kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they were selling these pillows with all these images that they stole from online and just ironed on
maybe
the pillows.
they bought the sheets, the sheets that have the images already printed on there, and they're making pillows out of them. That kind
you don't have the right to do that.
No.
Second, you're selling pillows at a Comic-Con.
I can't remember what it was. It was Barry and I were at a show, and we got there early, and we were setting up, and then all of a sudden we noticed across from us, it was one of those shirt places. And then all of a sudden the wall started going up and it started getting bigger. And then we asked to be moved. It's like, can you just move us? Because I don't want to be fighting with the shirt people because nobody's going to look at us. Everybody that's going down that aisle is going to be there to buy shirts.
Yeah.
And God love them. Sure, sell as many shirts as you want. Just don't do it where you're right. Let somebody look at our stuff a little bit. Nobody's going to see us.
I like and this is one of the reasons I like the San Diego Comic-Con kind of layout, right? They have a small press area.
Yes. Yeah. Which is really good.
You can go and walk, and all of them, they've all got comic books, right?
Yeah. And that's even different. That's even separate from where they have the Artist Alley place.
Yeah.
That doesn't have the Etsy people or the shirt people or that kind of stuff. It's still,
they have the anime manga people are in a different section, and they have the fantasy crafts people are in a different section, and they have the back issue people in a separate section. Yep. It's really well segmented. If you like, if you like that stuff. So
because Roland knows we go to shows all the time. I'm like, Roland, I'm going shopping.
Yeah.
And I leave, and then I come back with a whole bunch of stuff because I went shopping at all those places, but I don't want them sitting next to my comic book people.
Right. Because they're not making comics, right?
No.
David says,
separate you guys out.
Let it be said, Tom Mason and Dave Olbrich are amazing con companions.
Well, that's because we're jerks.
Well, David, that's probably because Tom, and I've said this before, Tom, and we used to accuse him at Malibu, has comebacks just like that. You can say something, Tom's like, we accused him of going home at night and going, all right, what can I think of tomorrow?
He's
sitting there and writing them all down, and that way, when the next day comes up, boom, he's got them. That's because he does that for everyone. And lean over and whisper something to you.
Also, the secret is that I don't care. It's like if you, Tom, you shouldn't say that to people. I don't care.
Pop says, thanks for letting me jump in. Of course, Pops, we appreciate you running the Madness Comic Network for us. Dave's got, this is a good point here. It's hard when the person whose booth you're stopping at doesn't have an elevator pitch for their book.
Oh, when it gets
what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, you can't have an awkward thing. You got to be able to talk
and you can't,
a little bit.
And you can't go into such great detail that you're telling me everything.
No, you got to be able to tell if the person's uninterested and they're just, if you've got a Star Warsy kind of book and the person likes, fantasy, the Conan or something, he's not going to buy your book. Let the guy go. He doesn't want to. But unless you can talk,
the worst thing you can do and say, "Hey, what's your book about?" And then say, "Well, this is part 1 of a 12-part series, and what I really want to do is I want to take this character, and they're going to go from here, and then they're going to experience this thing, and then what's the book about, dude? That's all. I don't know. Don't tell me what you want to do.
That's when I'm sitting next to you, and I reach across, and I'm like, "Quit talking to that guy. Leave him alone. Let him go."
I like the guys. That are bitter. It's like, this is the book that Marvel and DC won't publish. And this is the thing. It's like,
we're next to those people all the time.
Shut up already. I'm standing in front of you. I got money in my wallet. Separate it from me.
Yeah.
Don't go off on some rant.
Well, and like Pop said too, you can't have your face down where you're ignoring everybody walking by either.
No.
Can't do that.
Unless your face is down and your pen is up.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is like
You got to
look,
keep that radar going.
if I was here to buy Marvel comics, I wouldn't be standing at your booth, would I?
Right. I'm in the small
I-
press area.
Yeah, I do
What
the
do you
little
think I'm
trick
here
where
for?
I'm drawing, and I'm still if I'm drawing, but then I don't lift my head up. I just look up to see if people have stopped.
Yeah,
And
peripheral
then
vision.
it's like because I'm still working on a commission. I got to get that commission done. You know, you can't. It's got to get done. If I keep talking to everybody, I'll never get it done. So you got to keep
David
an eye
says,
out.
Tommy's anti-Etsy stance is well documented.
Yes. We almost have enough clips for an
No,
entire show.
I
of
love
Tommy going
Etsy
anti-Etsy.
stuff. I love
Yeah.
all that stuff. I just think it should be in its own space.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's
So
not the
along
comic
with
book
my-
section.
Because I have bought plenty of
When I
Etsy
was
stuff.
talking about-
Don't get me wrong. I've bought plenty of Etsy stuff.
when I've been at Etsy type places and there are comic book people near them, I'm suddenly slowly walking down that aisle where I was racing by it before.
Yeah.
So there is that. So
Wait,
you have a
so
little bit
hold
of
on
shout.
though. Wait, you're
So
slowly
an
walking down the
Etsy
aisle.
person, like an Etsy draw.
Okay, I see. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then you're like, okay, now I'm in that aisle, and what else is interesting? And I like comics, so there I found his table, you know, where
Right.
it would have been just a blur of an aisle that I'm not sure if I would have finely tuned
See,
to
and I think
see everything.
for me, I think I'm the other way. I think though, I'm radared in on comics, and I want to find comics, and so I'm walking down the aisles and I'm looking for comics. And if you've got
Yeah.
prints or you know jewelry or whatever,
Jewelry,
it's fine,
yeah.
whatever. But I'm not interested in any of that when I'm looking for comics, and so
Yeah.
I've zoomed right past all of it. I have heard people at these print stands. As I'm walking by, hey man, and I look over and there's no comic books there. I just keep walking.
Yeah. Sorry, dude.
Right? It's like what do you want me to? What are you going to talk to me about your print? No.
It's a visit from Rude Roland.
Yeah.
Now if they've got a comic, I'm like, whoa, there's a comic book. I'm gonna stop and listen. Right? What do you have to say?
I think like what Mike and I probably, I would hope that Mike would agree. You're walking by those poster type stuff, and then you see something cool. And it's like, I'm just going to draw that myself. I don't have to buy that.
There you go.
Yeah, I can draw that. I don't need that.
I can do that.
I don't think those poster types are for the people that draw as much
No,
as
they're not.
people
So
that-
I don't stop. So I do feel kind of rude walking right by them without giving them any
Well,
kind of credit. But it's like, you know,
Well, you could
I can
say-
draw that.
Yeah, you could say, "Hey, I like your style on this thing."
No, I'm
Give
too
them some-
busy. I'm like Tom.
Rude Thomas is coming for a visit.
That's right.
I'm move
Now
on.
you're wearing off on all.
I got to get back to the plushie table. I got to go find some stuffed animals. Leave me alone.
I got to find one that squeaks when I.
I got to find a Nightmare Before Christmas thing for my wife. I will be back.
Well, so here's let's kind of look at it from maybe if we can a slightly different perspective. If you're not there for comic books, do you want to have to walk by all the comic book people to try to find?
I think you're right about that. Yeah. Well, if you're not there to buy comics, then they
That's a workout.
But you know what? I think Tom might be. So are we missing an opportunity if we're not? I mean, it is. I mean, officially, most of these shows are called comic book conventions. So, we're trying to sell our comics to some of them. Maybe we'll convert some people over, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Huh?
I think,
Good.
especially if you're like you can't do this at San Diego, you can't do this at WonderCon in New York or Phoenix or whatever, because they sell out too quickly, and it's not those things. But a smaller show or a regional show where you could just say, hey, I got 2 kids, I got Sunday off, and the weather looks kind of crappy, and our other plans got rained out or whatever. We could go. I could take my kids to the show.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens, because the only way that
something new.
yeah, it's something to do, and all of us have had young kids at one point, so I think it's how hard it is to find something to do some days, but also how to get kids interested in stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is to take them to a place where there is a lot of stuff, and if you
Right.
take them to a show, where there's comics and
And
there's
only
Etsy
comics.
stuff and there's Roland's hateful
Oh.
pillows and there's jewelry and there's
Write
prints
that
or whatever.
down.
You can
Roland's
see-
pillows.
You can see your kids get excited about something, perhaps.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
It's that potential sell. I always try to bring a stack of coloring book pages. You know, so I go through all my cartoony stuff, and but that would be a good coloring thing. And so you can ask Roland, some kids will, you like the color? And they go, yeah. And so I just slap it on the table and say, flip through this and try to find something that you like.
When we were in Malibu Comics, we always had stuff to give away. We had tattoos, we had buttons, we had posters, we had whatever. And if you had a kid with you, and the kid wanted something, you know, for free, and you didn't want to be the dad who said, no, we're not giving any money, whatever. You know, here's
a tattoo.
Here's a tattoo. Here's
because
I'm a moon tattoo.
I would like them to buy my stuff, but if they don't buy my stuff, I hope they buy my stuff. You know, by me giving them some freebies.
The thing that I think is, as a person behind the table is, and I'm sure this sounds egotistical, but I'm sort of a representative of the industry.
Sure. Oh yeah.
And I want whoever comes to my table to have a good experience, even if they hate my stuff.
Yeah.
And aren't going to buy from me. I want them to understand that comic books is like this big thing. There's a lot of stuff here. And if you don't like science fiction, there's fantasy. If you don't like fantasy, there's superheroes. If you don't like superheroes, there's this. If you don't like dragons, there's this. And so there's a.
Well, you know, this is one of the reasons, you know, when we first kind of started this, what was it, 6 years ago now, I guess, almost. You know, we kind of talked about it a little bit, and part of one of the reasons for, you know, sticking with the PG-13 thing is that a difference that I saw. My last show when I left the industry, right? My last show was like 2001, so I didn't go to another show for 15 years thereabouts, right? And in that 15 years, Comic Cons changed incredibly. Right. When I went to the shows here, I'm seeing families all over the place, right? I'm seeing moms and dad. And of course, you know, a lot of them, there's mom and dad and kids cosplaying together, right? But there's all these families that are going together. And I'm like, that didn't happen a lot when you know, in the 90s, you know.
That was a rarity. If you saw that in 2001, you'd think there's something wrong with those people.
Well, yeah. Oh, that's a weird couple, isn't it? Yeah.
You want to go, ma'am, did he make you come to the show? Can I rescue you? Wink at me if I need to call the police. Exactly.
Yeah. But I would say that's probably mostly what I see. I shouldn't say mostly. That's a lot of what I see at a lot of the shows down here now, is that their families are coming. Yeah. Because exactly like you said, they're like, hey, we've got a Sunday free. Let's go out and let's go to Comic-Con.
Because if in defense of the cons that have all of the things, you know, if you're going shopping as a family, the four of you aren't going to have the exact same interest.
No.
And so you can sort of splinter off and say, well, I got something from here, and he got something from there, and she got something from there.
Yeah.
I was like, everybody's happy.
Yes.
It's like a department store.
Yeah, you're right. It's like a Walmart.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and here's the thing. So, and I think I'm kind of speaking for Tom here. It's not like I don't want those things there. I want them well organized. And that's something Mike said at the very top of the show, is that organizations, like I want it organized. I want the comics to be with the comics. I want the toys to be with the toys. I want the back issues to be with the back issues. I want to be able to go shopping in that place. I don't have to, if I'm only there for one thing, I don't want to have to walk the entire floor looking for the one thing that I like.
You like the Walmart approach, where everything is segmented out in its aisle.
Yes.
And so it's whatever you need or want. That's the aisle you're going to go.
Absolutely. Is that think about it from the business side of it? Is that a good thing?
Well, I mean, it works for San Diego.
Yeah. It works in San Diego.
It does. It sure does. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
San Diego is probably the best example.
If you're exhausted, you're going to stop buying.
Yes.
Eventually.
Like being at San Diego, where if you're not, golly, if you don't have a place to go sit down at San Diego, it is just a mess to try to walk through all that place.
There's a lot of places that say it's called a floor.
I found a secret resting place in San Diego, so I'm not giving that away.
I have a couple really good resting places.
I think our secret resting place is that we spend $1,000 on a booth. That's what we can go back to a table.
Yeah, and sit down.
I think Roland can speak to this too, is that one of the great things about having a big table in San Diego is it's a place to put your stuff.
Yes.
Absolutely.
When you don't want to go back to your hotel.
Walk away from it.
I will tell you, and that is a gripe for me about Tommy knows where I'm going, about having a table at a show
And your buddies come to the show and they go, hold
No,
this.
no.
I'm sorry.
I don't mind.
I get that all the
If Tommy
time.
comes to my show and says, "Hey, man, can I put this down?" I don't mind. Just throw it under the table, right?
Yeah.
What I mind is when the cosplayers stop and they put their wet drink on your table so they can take a picture.
That
And
is
I'm
so
like,
bad.
No, I have
No.
paper product on my
Right.
table.
No, you
Get
can't put your
wet-
book pack or your
Yes.
book sack on
your,
my stuff.
Your backpack, get it off of my
Put it
table.
on the floor.
Use this cartoon pillow for your coaster.
Yeah. Go to see if the Etsy person will move their stuff out of the way and put your backpack there.
Go to the Etsy coaster booth.
Yeah.
David says there's nothing more awkward than locking eyes with someone trying to sell you something you have no interest in.
Why can't you
Move
just
along.
smile and walk
Move
on?
Yeah, that's right. You got to treat it like somebody who's trying to hand you a flyer at Las Vegas or whatever.
No, what you got to do is walk around with your phone in your hand, and if all of a sudden you're awkward, you go, oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's always the forlorn. You're making your round to get your little break away from your table, and you're looking at the poor guys that are sitting there too that can't get anybody to buy their books, and you're like, man, I'd like to, but I ain't scraping by myself.
Right.
So you kind of feel sorry for them. You're just kind of looking. It's like you don't want to make eye contact with them because you don't have money to go buy their stuff either. It's just like you keep on going.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry and I always, when we go to shows, we always take what we call it goodwill money. So we go through and buy stuff from people. Mike knows that. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
We'll go through and buy books.
Yeah,
It's if not books that we printed because that'd be kind of silly. But go buy other people's stuff.
Yeah, I got about. I call it sad money.
There you go.
Because I feel bad for the person sitting there. It's like, okay.
Sad money. I got to keep that in mind.
We always buy something and then give them a flyer saying, "Hey, have you heard of Kablam?" and buy something.
How many pity buys? How many pity
Yeah.
buys?
Yeah.
I think so. I remember clearly a pity buy one time. I went over to when I first started doing this was like 2015, something like that. I think I'd just done Tiny. And so it was like the only like new thing that I had. And I went over to the coast, over toward Melbourne. I forget the name, Space Coast something. I don't remember. And I was there for Saturday and Sunday. I didn't sell a single thing all day Saturday. Sunday, most of the day went by and I didn't sell a single thing. Well, there was a guy, and I won't give his name. I remember him, but I won't give his name in case he doesn't want to be embarrassed. He'd come over to me and he goes, "Man, I was a big fan of Cat and Mouse back in the day, blah, blah, blah." And we had a good conversation, right? And I had a set of Cat and Mouse, right? And he came over at the end of the day. "Well, how did you do?" I said, "Oh, I didn't do so well, you know." I said, but I said, "That's okay. I had a good time. Got to meet you and everything." And he goes, "Well, I'll buy a set of your Cat and Mouse if you still got them." I said, "I still got everyone I brought." So he bought it. I knew it though. I could tell in his voice. I could tell everything. It was a pity buy.
He had some sad money.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I always
made
have
a fan out of him.
I have like 30 or 35 bucks worth of sad money that I spend at a show just to
That's a good idea.
Just to help people out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it pays off because sometimes I get something that I wasn't at all interested in and I get it home and it's like, oh yeah, I did okay.
Good.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Sad money.
Because that's the other thing too I like at a show. And again, maybe this is just me, but you see a person who maybe a year before or 2 years before was not really great or not that good. And then, but they keep at it and then they do something else like 2 years later. And it's like, oh yeah,
You've been working at it.
Yeah.
I've been working at
Yeah.
it. This is paying off.
That's
I
fun to
found
see, isn't it?
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's fun to see, I think.
It's like it's like in sports where you saw a college player suddenly do well in the pros. It's like, I saw that guy in college.
That's right. Yep.
And going to a show where it's always nice
Like
when
Brett Favre.
Oh yeah,
we saw Tommy and I saw Brett Favre.
Where?
You didn't go to any football games at Southern?
Oh yeah. Okay, I thought you meant at a show.
Yeah, no, Brett Favre. So I saw him play as a freshman.
Yeah, no, I went to I had 2 classes with him.
I didn't have any classes with him.
Yeah, he never showed up to any.
He lived right across the he lived right across the hall from Tony Fortenberry though, so we got to see him some of the weekends.
That's No, I like going to a show where and then I always try to go through and see what does it cost for the attendee to get to the show? Is it got free parking? You know,
Yeah.
They got to charge $5, $10 to get in. That's pretty cool. But we know we got one in Orlando that bought all of the parking available and then just started charging him $50 a day to park.
To park.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna beat
I'm
that.
not saying who it is. We know who it is.
Yeah, we know who it is.
But they bought all
the big box store.
The convention bought the whole parking lot, the whole.
And you used to be able to get in the year before. You could get in for $10. $10,
$15 to park. Yeah, and then they bumped it up to like $40-$50 to park.
Yeah,
because they bought every spot.
Yeah. Something funny. Me and Tommy, and then Barry and Jenny Gregory did a show way back several years ago, and something that we do now. I picked this up from Jenny, is who I heard say it. Was that you go to some of those shows and you're like are we going to sell anything? And it's like when you make that first sale, you're like, I'm on the board.
I'm on the board.
I'm on the board. So we kind of say that all the time now.
Yeah, you look at your buddy, you sit next to you and go,
you need
you suck.
You need like one of those things they have in a bar, like an abacus, where you just slide bell,
that's right.
Slide it over to the side. Another one.
You know what? Maybe what about getting a bell? Make it so ding 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 ding.
Like a Renaissance fair thing. Huzzah!
You used to do that with Barry, and Barry will pull out a wad of money. Look, I've already made money. You just missed it. I'm like,
I think Roberta. I think a bell.
I have a great idea.
Yeah.
Actually, what about a sound bite that you play?
Oh yeah.
Like just something fun.
Just put it on your phone. Another one.
Yeah, there you go.
Like make it sound like a
worm.
Just back it already.
There you go.
The gremlins are back.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Where did Tommy's point? Fireworks. How about that?
Yeah, fireworks.
Here you go. David Ace Gutierrez says, question for the panelists. What do you personally do to stand out from other booths of artists and writers?
Well, mine is my new display that I've got. So I went in y'all remember my new big back display? That's the big monster thing and the nice tablecloth and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So
right.
Yeah. So just to make it something didn't cost all that amount of money. You remember Mike, the one I had at y'all's at
I remember.
Mike show? Yeah. So a nice backdrop, a nice display. Didn't cost a couple $100, but it's just looks very nice. So
yeah, it does. Yeah, and one thing I like about your backdrop is it's so
versatile. Depending on the booth
yeah.
scene, it can be a 4-foot table thing, 6 foot,
6 foot table, 8 foot,
or whatever.
Yeah.
So I can.
Yeah.
I made it so it can be whatever they stick me at. I can put it for whatever, and it's the stupid thing's like 8 foot tall, so it's like its own poster pirate wall.
Yeah.
I think here we go. Agent Cub says, "Yell out, buy my comic."
Those guys are the worst guys.
As they walk by, somebody.
I think you're gonna
don't stop, sucker! Turn around.
I think you got to have some kind of display that has your art or your comic on it, where it would make somebody stop and say, "What is that?"
Right.
Yeah. Like I have a question now. What is it?
Yeah.
But I really like what Tommy did, where he was drawing on the iPad, but he had the monitor.
Yes.
So people could see it without having to go, "What's he doing?"
Right.
And so, because
I'd stand around and watch. That's
one of the things I've noticed about cons is that when there's an artist drawing, people will gather.
Yes.
To see whatever that magic is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do it on the screen and it's color and it's you're doing it fairly quickly, people will stop.
Well, you're right, because for non-artistic people like me, watching that, this is one of the reasons I love to watch Roberta when she colors on the stream so much, because you watch it and she's like, that just is so amazing to watch. It's just to look at it all. It's just happening, and there's lines going here and selections and clicks, and you can hear it, and then suddenly you look at it, and you're like, wow, that's fantastic. That's beautiful.
When they're putting it all together, it doesn't look like it's going to come together.
Right.
And that's the magic. That's the beauty of the magic of the thing. It's like like if Tommy's inking and all of a sudden he just puts in a few lines, it's like, well, I don't know what that is yet. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh,
It's
You
right.
pull-
Yeah.
Zoom
I
back
know what
out and
that
you
is.
go, whoa, that's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the process is in their head, and it's not
Right. And
not
because
clear
it's a
until
lot.
it's
If
more
you
there.
haven't, if you're just a civilian person, you don't know what's all the details that are going on in the colorist's head or the inker's head or the penciler's head. It's like they're keeping track of a ton of stuff,
Yes.
and it's all coming out on the paper or the screen.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of the people, penciling or drawing. They'll draw on at the table as if they're at a drafting table where it's tilted towards them. It's like no,
Yeah.
when you're
You
at a
can't see
show, you
anything.
have to draw flat. It's
Right.
got to be flat. It may be awkward to draw that way, but that's what you got to do.
I don't
So
wanna
the
see-
person.
You need to share.
I don't want to
Yeah,
watch you
exactly.
sitting down drawing any more than I want to watch Roland type.
Yeah, exactly. See from a distance. Yeah, that's right. We'll see
Yeah.
what you're doing.
What are you doing, Roland? Well, I'm using the QWERTY method, and I've got my 10 fingers here.
That's right.
Here you go.
There you go.
Oh,
That's what we want to see.
Roland, make a capital Q for the audience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
David says Roberta makes the painful look effortless.
Oh, thank you.
And I agree with that.
And not having a cluttered table is always
Yeah.
pretty good. Don't
Right,
having
yeah,
too
simple.
much
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the, I think your banner is important. What you have behind you, I think that's important. One of the things that I did a few years ago that is actually I see it more and more now. I didn't see it when I first bought it, right? But when I first started doing it, I bought a rack display that you set up, right, and then you just put the books in like this so that they would stay in the rack and they were racked kind of like a comic rack a little bit.
Yeah.
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 Like a mini
there-
spinner.
yeah, and there was like 1, 2, 3, 4. I think four out. So you could come in and you could just pick one of them up, from the rack and see what you wanted.
Really
And
good.
that really worked because part of what it did is it put it on the table. Part of the problem is if your content is on your table,
Well,
lying
that
flat,
works. Well, that works
People-
good for
people
like
have
a
to
writer
walk
or
down.
something
Yep.
because you're not going to sit there writing at the table. I
Yeah.
mean, the artist needs to have a little room to have
yeah.
the space to
You're
to
right.
draw because
But what
it works
I'm
great
trying
for
to
y'all.
do is as the people walk by, because I'm not drawing, right? There's nothing I'm doing at my
they
table
got
that
to
will
see
draw
what you got
them.
going on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I put the books up in their faces so that they can look at them as they walk by.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Right.
then that with the combination of the banner behind me will make them say, "Oh, that looks interesting."
And Roland's trying a new trick. I don't know if I like it or not. He's taking these bedpost things and
Yeah.
raising the table up like 10 inches higher.
It's
than like a
about
normal-
6 inches, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
3 feet higher. Whatever.
Why?
Yeah, what is that? Like a standing desk?
Yeah,
It
it
seems
elevates.
kind of neat. I couldn't do it because I can't draw it because then I'm gonna have to stand up to
Well,
be able to draw.
part of it is still that whole idea that as people are walking by, you don't want them all looking down because they miss everything, right? So if you get the stuff up a little bit higher, they're going to see, because they're kind of looking up as they walk by anyway, right? They're looking up at people's banners, right? And if you get your stuff up just a little bit higher, they're bed risers. You guys know what bed risers are,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You got
I
a
think
pack
it's a
of
work-
4 and you just put them
Yeah.
under there.
That's
Alright.
exactly.
I think
I've
it's
got
a work
pack
in
of 4.
progress.
That's
I don't
scary.
know if
It's
I don't
an
know if I like it or
experiment on
not.
my.
Yeah, we'll see how
well,
it works.
and it's
See
out.
how it works.
Yeah, I've only done it twice so far.
You'll,
so
you'll
it's
know
still
you
new.
succeed when people start going, "Hey, where'd you get those?
Right.
I want to be high up like Roland."
It's not going to work for me unless I get it up even higher. But I'm too tall. I'd have to put like 2 feet worth of them so I could stand up, and then nobody would be able to see. Oh, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what's going on? I can't see over the top of the table."
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, then you gotta
it's
have a
something that-
screen behind you.
I know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Agent Cub. What's up, Agent Cub? Good to see you here. He says they do whatever they can so they don't make eye contact with you. I guess. I don't.
What does he mean? You,
No, I think
the person behind the
think so.
table to the person and walking
I'm
by?
assuming that he means they as the attendees. They're trying not to make eye contact with you, which I don't. I will say that I don't feel that that's the experience a lot. Some absolutely, some will walk by and you can tell they just don't want to talk to anybody. They just want to look.
Yeah,
It's like,
if I can tell, if somebody's walking by and I can tell that they're not wanting to talk, and I do my, hey, how you doing, blah blah blah, and I can tell that they don't want to talk. I don't keep trying to talk to them.
No.
Yeah,
But some of them,
I mean, there's some of those guys will just keep talking to you and talking and talking, and like, dude, I see you. I've already 5 tables down. Quit talking to me. I've already walked by already.
some of those guys, some of those people act like they have PTSD from people who won't let them go.
yeah.
And so they're like you're I know you're trying to capture me and keep me at your table. So
I know. I
Yeah.
let you go. If
Yeah.
if you're not going to stand there for a second, I'm going to let you go. I don't.
yeah, but if they're not interested in my stuff, I might at least want to chat with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? What do you think of the show? What do you think of the show this year?
Tom, I bet
I
you
would
jump
love
over
to
the table
chat.
and grab them and tackle them to the ground. It's like, why aren't you buying my books?
Give me $4.95 right now.
That's right. You here at a
I
comic
don't
shop.
like to
I mean, you're
chat
at a
until I
comic
see their
show.
work.
You like
Yeah.
comics? You're at
I
a
want to
comic
look
show.
at them and
Well, so-
absorb it before I want their hard sell or
Yeah.
even their input.
Yes. So
I
there's a
need
couple.
to absorb it for a bit and have some silence.
Yeah,
you know,
'cause I
so it's
I
kind
would
of a
like
turn-off for
to
me.
browse without getting attacked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things I will usually do. If someone's come up and they're just looking, and I see them looking, I usually say, these are Silverline comics, because sometimes not everyone understands that these aren't back issues. They think, oh, these are just like, can I flip through these and find Spider-Man, right? So I usually just say, if you've got any questions, let me know. And then the other thing I usually add is like, hey, feel free to pick them up and flip through them and look at the art. And if you've got any questions, let me know. And then I let them browse, right?
Yep.
But don't put your
Yeah.
drink down here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please,
Or your
please don't
book
put your
bag.
sweaty Coke on the
No, you can't put your stuff there
Yeah.
while you go turn around and take a picture of the Harlequin walking by. No,
and
go
if
over there.
people are standing there doing kind of like this, I might usually ask, hey, do you like comic books, right? And try to
And they
start
go,
to
no. Well, then what are you doing at a
I've had
comic
I've
at a
had a
comic
bunch of them
convention?
tell me no. That
No,
is
it's
telling
here for
you.
The Walking Dead.
yeah, right. Tommy and I
you're
were at a store signing one time, and a guy came in and talked to us a little bit. It was a father and son.
Oh,
We were talking to the son,
that
right? The
was,
father
that was
just
terrible.
standing there.
I pulled a Tom on that guy.
And I'm like, hey, so do you like comic books? He's like, no. Like, well, why are you
And
here?
then I said, why are you at a comic
no.
shop then? It's like, get out of here.
But his
Have you-
dad
Have you
was
Have you
like,
tried my new Etsy pillows?
right, yeah.
you know you came into
Was he
this
there
is not
because
the
his son wanted to look at it?
this is not Subway sandwich shop. What did you come in here for?
Yeah.
What are you coming here to get something to eat?
Yeah. So, but I also the thing that I will try to do, going back to David's comment about elevator pitches, I try to look for that. I will ask for that opening usually. It's like, hey, can I tell you about my comic?
And
Right?
there's ninjas.
And there's right. That's right. Yeah, I will look for that opening, and of course, I try to see what they're looking at, right? Because I don't tell them about cat and mouse if they're looking at Trumps, right, or if they're looking at rejects. I'm not going to. So I try to see kind of what they're looking at, or see what they might be, what the artwork they might be drawn to, and then I'll make them that pitch. It's usually cat and mouse, because the cat and mouse and Trumps are the ones I have banners for. My tiny banner broke.
But
Yeah.
I like the tiny banner.
Yeah.
find that
It's a little. It's about this big. It's tiny.
No, it's big.
Do you find it's an advantage because you have a variety of stuff as opposed to just a person who has like a book?
I do. I do. Because I think that folks will look at something like cat and mouse and like, yeah, I don't really like, oh, but these guys have powers over here, and like the rejects, and it's silly or something. Yeah, so I find, I like Barbarian, so I'm gonna buy Cray.
Right.
Or I like science fiction, so there's Beyond the Stars, right?
Because I used to find that an easier sale, because when we were at Malibu, we had like 30 different books. So if you
Yes.
you couldn't just say I don't like this book.
Right.
Tell me
You
what
could.
you like.
Right. What do you like? Because I have a thing that
Something
would
for
fit
everyone.
your category,
Mhm.
Yes.
and I can talk you into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely do. I do think that is an advantage because there is a variety, right? It's like, well, I don't like superhero comics. Okay, we got those too, you know.
Right. Well, that's why
So-
that's why I think you should always set up next to Mike.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think it's an advantage setting up next to someone like Mike, right? Mike's in Kentucky, so we don't have the opportunity to set up next to each
Right.
other very often.
You guys
But-
don't do similar. You guys don't do similar books.
No,
Yeah.
no. That and that's the thing is like that someone can buy from me and then they can go over and buy from Mike as well because they're getting different content. It's
Yeah,
not
'cause
like
to
they're
me-
gonna.
Exactly.
Yeah,
To me, a good row of would be you, Tommy and his books, Barry and his books, and Mike.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in that
I've
order.
done that a couple times.
But that
Yes,
seems
yes,
like
yeah.
you guys would cover all of my interests, like all of the
Yes.
bases.
Yeah. And of that bunch, probably Barry and I have the closest titles to one another.
Right. Well, you guys are practically twins anyway.
So, but yeah. So I that's what I think. That's I want a variety, and I think that's one of the things that does help.
And his
So-
book, his wife's book, Jenny's Becky's
Dreamwalker.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that would be a great book too. Like put that
Yeah.
like because none of you guys are doing a book like that, and that's a really good book too. But for an entirely different audience. So you put that
Yeah.
you put that book in the same row.
Mhm.
Now you've got something that appeals to like millennial girls.
Well, and see, that's one of the things that I find is that I'll see these young anime girls coming over. They're not looking at cat and mouse.
Right.
They're looking at Tiny, right? They're like,
Yeah.
oh, this art looks really good. I like this, right? So they're and again, this goes back to I like the idea that there's the variety for them because if you don't like Tiny, well, okay, there's a barbarian story here. Okay, well then there's also a science fiction story, or there's
Right.
some superheroes, right? So there is a variety, and I think that's an advantage if the people will stop and look.
Right.
Mhm.
That's why you need to get a lariat.
Or a trap on the floor.
That's right. Trap on the
Go
floor.
Some
Yes.
banana peels. So that
Hey, while you're
No.
down there,
What I need is I need one of those I need one of those shoot, I don't even know what they're called, those crossbars that like it was in Blazing Saddles. All the
That's right.
cowboys
Toll
rode
bar.
up to toll booth, yeah, toll
somebody
booth.
go back and get a whole thing of dimes.
Right, yeah.
throw some candy
Put
out
a
in the,
toll booth up
like
here.
a parade. Throw
Well,
some
you know,
candy
I
out
used to bring candy when I first got back into it. I used to bring candy, Jolly Ranchers, and it would get all the kids to stop. And that would, a lot of
Me
times,
too.
when you're on this side of the table, a lot of times what you are doing is you're looking for that opportunity to talk about your comic. I don't like to force it, but if you'll open the door for me, I can talk about it.
If you put some Thin Mints out, you would trap me.
Mhm.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. But see, but here's the thing. So Jolly Ranchers are individually wrapped.
Right, and Thin Mints.
Thin
You just have to
Mints.
give me a whole box then. That's
I'm not
okay.
giving you a whole box.
Yeah, I'll be
It's
back in
Roland's
just a
cookie
second.
hour,
There's
and
something
I would
weird
just come
going on
by
in
and-
the other room. Hold on.
Okay. Yeah. But we gave we need to come up with something, but we've given all kinds of things away. Of course, we gave away a whole bunch of these.
Right.
Yes.
They're the wristbands. But we looked to get some more. We were going to get a different color this time, and the price had tripled.
Oh,
Dang.
Yeah, and so we were like, let's wait on
Something
that a
new.
little bit, see if we can't find something else. So,
Overage got a good deal on coasters.
like these kind of coasters.
Yeah, like those.
Yeah.
That are really nice. And that's not a kid audience. That's not a kid friendly thing necessarily. But and
Yeah.
also he got some flasks made, which again not kid friendly.
Yeah. We did some was a Sticker Mule, I guess. Sticker Mule ran a deal one time, and we did a bunch of Divinity coasters. And I want to say the first 25 backers of Divinity 3 got a bunch of those.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
Nice.
BJ has one in there that she uses. So I thought we still
think-
had a couple, but
knowing that the San Diego show is 5 days, if somebody put Hall's Mentholyptus individually wrapped in a bucket, I would really appreciate that.
That's actually not a bad idea either. You know,
5 days is too long.
we looked at somebody's not happy, Tommy.
No, it's okay.
Okay. We looked at pins. We thought that might be a cool thing to give away, but those were a little pricey yet. So,
with those, do you remember the Ultraverse had those little pin backs? Those are the really cheap things.
Oh
that
yeah,
they were like made. They look like they were made in the 1950s, and you just sort of clip them.
Yeah,
you'd bend the metal back over the lapel or whatever.
Yeah,
those are dirt cheap. Those are like a dime a piece or something. Yeah,
really. I may have to look into
you got to
those.
find. I don't know who the manufacturer is anymore, or even if they make them, but they look cool because they're so retro, but they're also they're also cheap.
Yeah, and that's what if you're going to give stuff away, that's what you need, something that's cheap, right?
Something that's cheap, but also doesn't look cheap, but also it's like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yes,
as cheap as it is.
Yeah, and when we did these little wristbands, those were kind of hot at the when we did them. Yeah. There was a lot of people doing them.
Well, there was a couple of years ago. Boom, Ross Ritchie's company. Yeah. They did those wrist slapping things. They had
those yeah.
Yeah, I forget what they were called, but you slap them on your wrist and it would go in there.
Yeah.
They couldn't keep those in. Every kid was running up to them and grabbing them.
Cool.
Agent Cub says, "I think I had a bag of those pins."
There you go.
Yeah. Well, guys, as it happens, the clock has just flown by. Any final thoughts, comments about making a good con?
Yeah, I'll say this: I love going to cons.
Me too.
I mean, I know that you hear a lot of complaints about them. Oh, there's too many celebrities, or they're not well organized, or they don't have comics that I want, or they're just whatever. I just like going because usually there's something that happens to me that makes it worthwhile. I find something cool to read. Yep. I meet some new person that had an interesting conversation. I heard something I didn't know before.
Yeah.
I hung out with old friends. I'm a big believer in going out to conventions and just, I think one of the things as an attendee that people look at cons is they put too much hope into the convention.
Yeah.
And they want something out of it that the convention can't possibly satisfy.
Yeah, they want a Disney World experience.
Right. And it's like, no. You got to be, the convention is basically the ultimate, you got to roll with it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so because you said that, let me add this. I think that conventions are a necessity for those who want to work in comics. If you want to make comics, you gotta go and attend conventions because I know that times have changed a lot and we do all the internet stuff, but people still like to work with people they know. I've never asked this, and I'm not asking for confirmation now, but I fully believe one of the reasons that Malibu offered me the job to come out there those many years ago is because they had an opportunity to meet me and we got along. Yes, we had got along on the phone already. Yes, I had done work with them. Yes, I already had a positive experience and all that, but they had the opportunity to meet me at a couple of different shows before offering me the job. And so they're like, we've met you. We know you're not an absolute, you're a geek, you're a nerd, but you're not an absolute psycho. Right. So you're the kind of person that we would like to work with. And secondarily to that is when you go to shows, and again, I don't know who else thinks this way, maybe it's just me, but when I go to shows and I see all the comics being made, I am energized. It's like,
exactly.
Oh yeah.
I come back from a show and it's like, these guys are doing this, and this person is doing that, and this woman is doing that, and these kids are doing that, and it's like, I gotta get off my lazy butt.
Yeah.
I am inspired. That carries me through to the next convention.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah,
It was fun.
I agree.
A lot of fun.
So there we go. I'm out.
All right. This Tuesday, that Silverline show on Tuesday, the guys are going to talk about how to create a war comic. Crew talk about the details that go into telling a war story through comics. I am sure they're going to talk a little bit about Tim's
book.
Wolf Hunter. Wednesday, so they're going to have a special guest, John Holland, John is a writer with credits from Fantagraphics, Kitchen Sink, Malibu, Innovation,
Yay.
Antarctic Press, and more, as well as his own company, Diebold Comics. That is Wednesday. And then next week, we're going to be here with a special guest, Charlie Griffin. You might be thinking, well, I've never heard of Charlie Griffin. Who's Charlie Griffin? You're right. You've never, well, unless you're into orchestra, you've never heard of Charlie Griffin. Charlie Griffin, remember several weeks ago, we had the orchestra, the Heroes and Villains. Charlie Griffin is the guy who got me involved, got us involved, and he's going to be here hopefully with some video. But he's already shared a little bit of music with me. I'm not sure how much of it I can play, but we're going to get him to talk about this, how he came up with the idea to get the comic book and orchestra collaboration. So that is next week. Hopefully he's got some video that he could show, because I think that.
And he will also sing a song for us, won't he? Won't he grace us with a song?
Well, so I think orchestra is that kind of music that has no words.
Oh.
So, and there you
I have
go.
requests.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'll ask him if he takes requests, but I'm
That's
not
right.
sure.
We got a hotline you can set up, and he'll play your hits.
So that's next week. I am looking forward to it. Like I said, we had a blast. Me and Jose and BJ had the opportunity to go, and we had a blast there. It was so cool seeing them play their tunes. They played them live, and then in the screen behind them, they had images from the comics. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we can at least see some of that. Hopefully, so. And that's it. Anything else, guys?
I got nothing.
Get over and to fund my comic and look for the Divinity #4 crowdfunder and back that thing. We're at 51%. Still got 24 days to go. So get over there and you can get your nifty, cool foil cover that you can only get through backing the campaign. So
and team up #2 should be going out this week.
That's right. Should be mailed out this week. So,
and I've read Divinity #4, and I can say it's a slam bang finish.
Yes. So, yeah. Okay. And it's exciting. Age of Cups. No, it's not on Kickstarter. It's on Fund My Comic. Fundmycomic.com.
Links available.
Say again.
Links are available.
Links are available. Well, actually, we showed at the top of the hour. Just go to fundmycomic.com, and it's gonna. If you scroll down, it's the first one there. It's one of their. What do they call it?
That's because you are a lovely man, and people want to be a part of your world.
It was called something. Top picks. I don't know what it was called now. Check the shelf. Oh no, recently added, I guess is what it is on.
Looks like Roland's looking at the ceiling. What are you looking at the ceiling?
I have a monitor right up there.
Yeah, I know.
So
we can see it in your glasses. It's just
okay. All right. So until let me find my exit thing.
Yeah, I don't have my funny stuff to do.
Until next time, remember to make mine
I'm gonna spill my drink.
Hey, I'm G-Rod. Make mine Silverline. You heard me.